Hey, guess what? We're live.
Yay.
Good to
Hi.
see you. A
Good to see you.
little chilly today.
Interesting weather we're having.
On my way to work today, I had to put on the seat warmer.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was 48 degrees. I was going to work. My buns were cold. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a
I,
little too much information for our vast audience here of the Good
that's
Health by
funny.
Claudia podcast. So today is going to be fun.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to this
good.
one.
We
So
look forward to it every week, don't we?
this one I do, but this one because weight management, dealing with my weight, it's been a battle my entire life, and I'm very excited to bring our guest on when we get to it. So why don't we get to it, Claudia?
All right,
Here
let's
we
get
go.
to it.
Good Health by Claudia podcast with me, Denny Schaefer, a production of Denny Radio. This is episode 34. Woo!
Yay.
Okay. Weight management versus weight loss. Now, before we get going down this road, because it's one of the biggest concerns that everybody has, it's been a battle that I've had my entire life, and I feel like for the first time in a long time, I'm doing pretty darn good. I don't want to get too cocky. But as always, the information contained in these podcasts is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or health condition. Please consult a qualified healthcare professional if you do have a medical condition. The FDA has not evaluated the information on this podcast, which represents the opinions of the hosts and or our guests, which we're about to bring on.
Yes.
So, like I said, my family has the DNA of bigger people, let's say.
Okay.
And I'm not float. I go up and then I come way back down.
Right.
The most I think I ever weighed was about close to 260.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I got mad at myself. And then I usually do some kind of latest fad diet. I mean, I've done the Atkins. I've done, I don't know all the names of them. A lot of times I just starve myself and,
which is not the right way to do it either.
no, it's horrible.
So,
and so then I get up to 260 and then I get disgusted. And then I get all the way back down to like 220.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back up. And then the last time I got up to about 247, and then I got on some kind of Nutra something, whatever, and I got all the way back down to about 210.
Mm-hmm.
And then I creep back up. Well, since you and I started the podcast,
yes,
you got me eaten to my blood type.
Yes.
And realizing the poison I was putting in my body, especially the processed sugar.
Right.
I would work out, I would run, I was very active. And the only reason I did that was to keep the weight off, people. That's all. I wanted to be able to work out and just be able to eat what I want. And that meant sweets and everything else. And then Claudia got a hold of that philosophy. And you're like, okay. So, all the processed sugar, 90% of it's gone. I don't eat, I had cookies, brownies, ice cream every day. And all of that. And so my weight is, I'm like right around 200 right now.
Yeah.
And this
you
I've
look
been
great.
Well, thank you. Are you hitting on me?
And you feel great, don't you?
On me, people. I do feel great.
You feel great. That's what's important.
That's the main thing.
Yes.
And I want to keep feeling great. And that's why we're doing this podcast. As long as I feel great, we'll keep doing the podcast.
Okay.
How's that sound?
That's a deal.
All right. For those of you that are watching online, please put your comments up. Just type in your comment if you have a question or anything you want to ask us or our guest. And then we'll see those during the podcast. And then we'll ask those questions. All right. Let's invite our guest in here because she's probably getting bored. Life Extension Science Educator, Dr. Vanessa Pavey, ND, and we're going to talk about weight management products. And let's bring her in. Hello,
there
Vanessa.
She is.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Now, are you old enough to drive a car?
Afternoon.
Because you kind of you don't look very old. Do your parents know that you're on the computer right now and you're going coast to coast all over the world?
That's very nice. Actually, I did, well, not all over the world, but I'm the national educator for Life Extension. So I do get to travel the whole US and talk about nutrition and how supplements work. It's really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you're in Las Vegas right now. Is that where you live? Is that home base?
That is home base. Yes.
And you born and raised in Vegas? Or?
No, actually, I'm originally from the Chicago area.
Yeah, it's like nobody's from Vegas. They all come in from somewhere else. Right. They came and they got all drunked up and they never left. Okay, I'm not saying that's you, I'm not insinuating.
All right.
So you heard us talking before we started. Like me, I've been a yo-yo guy forever. I had the wrong, philosophy and thinking. My philosophy was work out really hard and eat everything I want. And that's a recipe for disaster. So Claudia, where do you want to start?
Yeah, that one never works.
It never does, but everybody thinks it does.
Well, what everybody's been taught about good health doesn't necessarily mean it's the accurate way. So that's why we're happy to have a guest like Vanessa on, so we can talk about the proper way, because what we eat and what we're putting in our body, it's the first step. It's the most important thing. And then when we have wonderful products like these guys are making, so Vanessa, let's start with I want to get into these products, but there's several that we're going to go over. They're all very important. And I want to start with, I think we're going to start with the waistline control, because a lot of people, they come in and they want to know what's the role going on in the abdominal area. And of course, we've educated on petrotoxins and xenoestrogens for many, many, many years. So that's a standard conversation in our store. But I thought that this would be a nice product to start with. So why don't we start with that one? Waistline Control.
There it is, people. Waistline Control.
We've had some very nice feedback on this product. So let's start there.
Yeah, in terms of the weight management category, I would say that this is one of our top tier. Now, what I mean by that, because I like numbers. I like objective data too. Actually, the CDC has actually released some kind of scary statistics. Like about half of the US population right now is trying to lose weight in some way. And what they also stated was that even if we can lose like minimum 5% of our body weight, that can translate into really important health benefits. Like, for example, for our blood, supporting a healthier blood pressure, our lipid numbers, our sugar numbers, even just a 5% weight loss. So actually, that's where Life Extension is looking at for cutoffs at this point, is if the clinical study showed at least 5% of weight loss of total body weight, that's going to be considered one of our top tier nutrients. So that's how we're putting the numbers to it.
Yes.
And now, of course, talking about the waistline, there's so many different aspects that can impact it, right? Yes. Toxins in the environment. That's a huge topic, especially in the naturopathic community, like endocrine disruptors and things of that nature. Stress, I think, is the one that most of us battle with, especially, in the last couple of years. That cortisol as a hormone can certainly have an impact on our waistline. But for the product that you just showed, the Waistline Control, it does have 2 herbal ingredients that particularly target kind of fat metabolism. So it's helping to support the breakdown of the fat that's in our fat cells so we can burn it for energy, and also slowing down the mechanisms of storing excess fat. So it does have 2 ingredients, Sphaeranthus indicus. That's a mouthful.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah.
And Garcinia megostana, which is a little different than Garcinia cambogia, which is pretty well known. But those Garcinias, oh gosh, they have such an impact on the metabolism of the fat cells themselves.
Yes.
Since those are 2 kind of tricky herbs to say, the trademark combination of those 2 is called Meratrim, so it's a little easier.
Right.
Easier to say. It rolls off the tongue, I think, a little easier.
But you did very good pronouncing those.
You really did. Now,
you did a good job.
All those are fancy, titles and names and stuff. What does it do for you? That's where I was. Wow, that sounds like it could be very effective. What does the Waistline Control do?
Yeah. Now, like, for example, the keto diets seem to be a little bit popular, which helps to kind of keep the carbohydrates a little bit more under control. And we'll talk about how like insulin has an impact on our weight, and especially for people who like genetically just seem to like gain weight a little bit more easily. It's usually because insulin can be a factor. But for this one, since we're targeting the fat cells directly, This would be a good one for like if you're trying to kind of switch your metabolism to start burning fat rather than burning sugar, which is typically what's going to happen when you're eliminating a lot of carbohydrates out of your diet for weight loss.
Right. Oh,
And she
purposes.
froze. There she
for
is.
Oh, did we lose me? Yep.
There you
So
are.
what? Oh, excellent. So it gives you a little extra edge to try to help keep that fat burning metabolism up.
Okay, so it helps
It
your
helps-
metabolism.
yes,
and
it's helping to burn stored body fat more effectively.
Okay,
correct?
That's a good product.
Yeah.
All right, what else do you have, Claudia?
So the Tri-Sugar Shield, this is a wonderful product also. So, and these formulas, what I'm impressed with these formulas, they're very unique in regard to how to approach positive weight loss and, weight management. So the Tri-Sugar Shield. So let's talk about that for a moment.
Yes, this one is trying to help support a more even keel of blood sugar. So
Yes.
supporting a healthy blood sugar. Talking about insulin, insulin, a lot of people don't realize that it's actually an anabolic hormone, which means that if we have a lot of insulin circulating, that's actually the chemical signal to our body to gain weight.
Right.
Yeah, it tells our body,
Exactly.
store, don't burn. So we want to make sure that if our blood sugar levels are nice and healthy,
Yes.
then we have less insulin at play. So that's what was behind the formulation of this particular formula, was to help to support healthier blood sugar levels and helping to support insulin sensitivity. So we have less.
Which is so important. It's what you're saying is so important because we always remind people, if you're eating foods that are triggering your pancreas all day long and asking it to deal with insulin levels all day long, it's easy to see why everyone's pancreas, or so many people, their pancreas is tired. It's exhausted. It doesn't want to keep doing it. So it's stabilizing that blood sugar is so important because the pancreas is part of the whole endocrine system, right? I mean, it's affecting everything. So this is a wonderful product to help balance that. So now, and I just want to say, when people are looking at these products, they don't have to take all of them that we're going to talk about.
I was just going to ask that. Just line them all up and let me start popping some pills and let the weight fall off, people.
No, we want to do one thing at a time, right? And to make sure everybody, they know what it's doing for their body. We like to do one thing at a time.
So would it be Waistline Control would be the first one?
Well, here's how I would maybe position it, because there's so many different nutrients targeting different mechanisms. I might ask, okay, well, what is your biggest challenge? Is it appetite? Is it that you're dieting and exercising, but that middle section is just being stubborn? Is it more like metabolism? It feels like, as I'm getting a little bit older, my metabolism's being a little bit more sluggish. Like I used to be able to eat ice cream every day, and now if I do it once a week, I'm gaining weight.
Right.
Those kinds of situations, or even just, if like your family history and yourself, that it's like, oh gosh, I tend to gain weight a little easier than, the people around me. If that's the case, I might be considering maybe looking for blood sugar support, because that tends to be a genetic target. That Tri-Sugar Shield, one of my favorite ingredients in it is fluoridin. So you'll see that on the back of the bottle if you're taking a look at it.
Yep.
Fluoridin is a polyphenol derived from apple trees, which is really fascinating. And what it does is it helps to support sugar elimination. We have an enzyme called sodium glucose transporters. And we have one type in our digestive tract, which helps to absorb the sugar to get it in the body. And then in our kidneys, we also have that sodium glucose transporter, but it's a second type that keeps sugar inside of the body so you don't urinate it out. So if we slow down those enzymes, we're not absorbing as much and we're helping to eliminate more. So it's one of my favorite ingredients in that formula.
This particular, the Tri-Sugar Shield, is something that most people would really benefit from, I believe. Because
I
right, because most people need blood sugar stabilization.
Yeah, and in fact, this would not be the one I would choose if you're doing like a ketogenic type of, you know, weight management, planning.
Okay.
This one, like for example, I love this one acutely because I just keep it in my purse. And if I'm out and about, I'm out with friends and we stop at a restaurant, we're eating some, like pizza, something that's going to be a little bit more carbohydrate rich. What you can do is you can take one pill right before consuming carbohydrates, and it does slow down the absorption. In fact, what it's doing is it's slowing down the digestion of the carbohydrates into simple sugars for absorbing.
Right.
That's really the key of the other two ingredients. You can use it right away.
Okay, that's a good one. All right, what else do we have, Claudia?
Okay, when we talk about metabolic function, the AMPK, in fact, we've had a doc in our community that's done presentations at our store over the years on AMPK. So it's a wonderful product. So why don't we talk a little bit about this, because it's all about helping at a cellular level and the metabolic balance, correct?
Yeah, this one, actually what AMPK stands for is adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase, which is actually an enzyme, not a digestive enzyme like we were talking about with the tri-sugar shields, but
right,
an enzyme that's found in every single cell of our body. Life Extension calls it the master switch of the cell, because when it's turned on, it revs up the cellular metabolism. Very, very important. In fact, there was one author from a study that was saying one of the reasons why a sedentary lifestyle is so problematic is because we don't get adequate AMPK activation when we're sedentary. In fact, exercising is one of the ways of activating the enzyme. But I don't know about you guys. Like I travel a lot. I'm sitting in airplanes. I'm sitting in cars. I don't really get to, get to the gym every day. So I'm really glad there are nutritional ways that can help to, help switch that enzyme back on for me.
Yes. So let me ask you, any contraindications with any meds with that product?
Not that Life Extension found. That's one of the things that I think the Life Extension product formulators are really great at, is they do look through all of the studies and look at like case studies and reports to make sure that there isn't any medications interactions, or if there's certain situations where you wouldn't want to consume certain ingredients, or just some cautions. But we didn't find any cautions.
Okay, so that's for somebody who doesn't get a lot of movement.
Right, exactly. Okay, next one is, now we have people coming in for saffron, and when you guys came out with this, it was, this is an interesting product. So let's talk a little bit about saffron and how that's helping weight management.
Yeah, because we talked about kind of like revving up, metabolism, and but appetite is a huge roadblock for some people too. When I think of saffron, like if you have these three things going on, I'm really thinking saffron. If you're craving sugar, like specifically sugar, especially at the end of the day, you know how like you have your day and then you get home and the first thing you're heading for is something sweet right before dinner. Yeah. I'm thinking saffron. Another aspect is like mood. Saffron's been really well studied for supporting mood. So if the mood's a little low, we're craving sugar, and sleep. If you're not sleeping well at night, those are the three things that I'm thinking maybe some saffron would be helpful. And really what all three things are pointing at is serotonin, our feel-good neurotransmitter.
Yes.
Now, saffron doesn't help us make serotonin, but it helps us keep it around a little bit longer. Low levels of serotonin not only affect our mood and sleep, but also stimulate sugar cravings.
Wow, that is really good to know. I've never heard that before.
Well,
that's good stuff.
And I'll tell you, of course, over the years, I always talk about the health food store I worked at for many, many years, because they were leaders in the industry for a long time, Bassett's. And years ago, I remember we always were taught one of the biggest offenders to serotonin levels is sugar. I mean, Pat and Joe were saying that almost 50 years ago. So, and now we know the mechanism of all that and how that really affects serotonin levels. But sugar is really a problem for millions of people. And it's very, very sad because, you know, everybody's been taught to eat sugar. I mean, look what we're doing to our children in the United States. They're all being fed, and you know, sugar from as
every
children.
single
Yeah,
thing they
it's
eat and they
very sad.
drink, you know, big glasses of orange
Yeah,
juice.
it's harming them terribly. So
it's pop, it's soda, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. So, all right, we've got one more to go over, and this is another, the body trim and appetite control. We've had some great feedback on that from customers. So that's, what is that? Lemon verbena?
Correct. Yep. And hibiscus.
And hibiscus. Yeah, it's a great combination. So tell us the basics of what those two herbs are doing.
Oh, absolutely. Because when I'm thinking like sugar cravings specifically, I'm thinking saffron. But for those who are just like, you know, I'm just hungry. You know, I'm starting my diet. I'm doing a little bit more calorie restricting. But what's my roadblock is my hunger is getting out of control. Because one of the aspects of calorie restriction is sometimes our hunger hormones start to increase. And the one in particular that lemon verbena and hibiscus are addressing is ghrelin. Ghrelin is produced in our stomach, and it actually talks to our brain and says, hey, I haven't had any food in here for a while. Maybe we should eat. So that's our hunger hormone. And I remember that as like, you know, the stomach growling, ghrelin.
Right.
That's how.
Right.
And then we do also, like, at least our body helps us out with satiety hormones that help us feel full. One of the hormones that's been quite a target recently is what's called glucagon-like peptide 1. This is the hormone that tells our brain we're full. So what we want, especially when we're on our weight loss journey, we want, you know, ghrelin low and glucagon-like peptide up. And unfortunately, right, it's usually opposite when we start our diet. So that's where these ingredients come into play. It helps kind of level it back out to help so we're not, you know, just really super hungry all the time.
So so these are the 5 products that we brought. I figured that was enough to go over. And if you were going to start somebody on a basic protocol with these products, what would you start with?
Oh, yeah. So I think the first way I would kind of separate them is it hunger that's having an impact, or is it that, you know, weight is being stubborn? So if it's the hunger, I'd focus more on like the saffron and the lemon verbena hibiscus combination. And then I'd kind of separate it even more with like, is it specifically sugar or is it just everything? Like I could eat the potato chips, you know, and an extra helping of dinner, that kind of thing. Then I go with like the lemon verbena and the hibiscus versus the saffron. But then on the other hand, if you are starting your weight loss journey and you're, you know, increasing your movement, modulating your diet, and you're worried about what's going on around the waist, you know, I think I'm going to really push for the waistline control. What Life Extension found in the clinical study with that combination was a 6.4% average weight loss in the participants. So that really, I mean, really, that's what we would consider top tier. I really like the fact that what Life Extension is looking at in terms of clinical studies, because, you know, there's a lot of studies out there.
Right.
But some of the really high quality ones that we were looking at, they did include diet and exercise, which is much more realistic, right?
Absolutely.
So really what they were looking at is if everyone's dieting and exercising, you know, including the placebo, we're going to expect the placebo to lose weight as well. But what they were comparing is if we add these nutrients, are you getting a little bit of an edge? And that's, yeah, so I would say that would be the top tier for that one. But if you do know your history, you know, for example, if you're not, like you said, not moving very much like me, that AMPK is probably a good idea. Or just with, you know, knowing that, you know, sugar could be an impact. Oh, here's another one. Sometimes how you feel like, oh my God, like sometimes I eat a piece of fruit and like an hour later, I kind of feel a little funny because I feel like, oh gosh, I think my blood sugar just went down. That screams insulin. So maybe balancing the insulin response. For those lucky people who gain weight pretty easily, usually the mechanism behind that is they have these rock star pancreases, like you were saying. They just release lots of insulin to help keep the blood sugar under control. But unfortunately, that also stimulates, storing rather than burning.
Right.
So I think bringing on those nutrients, especially if you have a history of that personally or with the family, blood sugar balancing is incredibly important.
All right, we have a question from Rob. He says, these all sound great, but when you're dieting or trying to create a healthier lifestyle, how long would I need to keep taking these supplements?
Oh, that's a great question. Typically, what we want to do is match what gave the best efficacy in the research studies. So, for example, the lemon verbena hibiscus combination, that clinical study went on for 8 weeks. So I would give at least that 2 months before really assessing, because when we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about helping to balance the body out. So it does take a little bit of time. So the Waistline Control product, that combination of the Spharanthus indicus and the Garcinia mangostana, that study ran for 8 weeks, a really high quality, the one that was 6.4%. Weight loss was in a 2-month period. Now the AMPK, the ingredients were studied for 3 months. So usually we want to give it anywhere between like 2 and 3 months to really start seeing the physiological, balancing.
That's a good question.
And we have customers that have been taking AMPK for years because they feel so much better when they take it. So some of these, but I think it's fair to say, given everything that we're dealing with from modern times, the fast pace, the toxins coming from the environment, the toxins in the food, even if we feel like we're eating clean food, those have an impact. And I think it's fair to say that a lot of people feel better when they do some sort of blood sugar support, because it's just helping the body all around. But so eating clean, eating the right foods, and of course exercise, like we mentioned it. That's all very important when it comes to the whole big picture of taking care of our health in a positive way. So Vanessa, I'd just like to ask you about the company itself, Life Extension. I think they started in 1980, correct?
Yes, they did.
1980, and it's as I said, it's a great company. They make some really innovative formulations. So you guys have a huge line of so many different categories. When we did our eye show for the eye health, we were showing the lutein gummies that you guys make and some of the other products. So there's a lot to talk about with this company, but I wanted to start with blood sugar. So anything else that you want to go over?
Oh, just in terms of a couple of my favorite parts of Life Extension is we are a privately held company, so no bigger corporation
Which
owns
we love
us.
and
Yeah,
appreciate.
I really I admire that with the company, and I feel so secure working for Life Extension. And we really are science-based. It fascinates me that Life Extension's been around since 1980, and I was actually introduced to the company in it was around like early it was like 2010. And when I started working at Life Extension, I started asking around, and I'm like, why did it take so long for me to know about the company and know these kind of details about it? And what they said was, we don't really put a lot of our resources into advertising. What we do is we take our resources and put it back into research. Life Extension conducts clinical research in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So we have a full clinical team that does that. We donate to research. So since 1980, we've donated over $180 million to universities and independent researchers to continue, gathering as much information as we can. So that's just kind of Life Extension in a nutshell, at least, from the things I enjoy about hearing about the company.
That's awesome.
And it's so important because, a lot of naysayers of our industry and of nutrition in general are always saying there's no research on any of these products, which is so false. There's so much great research. And when you look at a company like Life Extension,
Right.
they've been investing in it to prove the efficacy of different products and to learn how they work.
People that say that are in bed with big pharma. I'll just say it right now. You guys won't because you're nice people. Me, I am telling it like it is, ladies.
Yeah. Well, there definitely is a difference between those that
is.
promote sickness and those that promote wellness.
Yeah.
We're in the business of promoting wellness.
Right.
And I thank God every day. I wouldn't want to do anything different. So
Yeah, because sickness is very expensive.
it's very expensive,
Very
and it's a
expensive.
lot of misery for millions of people, which is why we're doing what we do. We want to get these everyday wonderful products out into the awareness of the public. There's so many cool products coming from cool companies. So
And if
Life
you stop
Extension
in,
is one of them.
Stop in at Claudia's. There's more of Life Extension products, and she can help educate you like she educates all of us.
Yeah.
Vanessa, thank you so much for going on. We really appreciate it.
Very sweet of you to be with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Many blessings to you.
She's awesome.
Yep.
Man, that was great. I'll tell
Yep.
you, we just keep having great guests week after week after week.
Yeah.
And I don't know many people that don't battle some type of weight loss.
Right.
You know, it's hard to be active. The older you get, that's why the Sugar Shield is staying with Denny. That one. Well, this one I like because when she was telling us about it, and the direction is you take one capsule right before you have your biggest meal of the day, which for me, and I know you're not supposed to, but it's always my evening meal. It's not my breakfast. I have a,
because you're up at.
Right. I'm up so early. I don't have
Right.
time to make any food. So
Right.
anyway. And so my biggest meal is usually, dinner. And so I'm like, okay, this sounds like something that I could definitely benefit from. Just try, one, even though it says take 2 a day. Try one right before you have your big carb meal and, see what kind of results.
Yeah.
I mean, they all sound fantastic.
Yeah. I might try a couple different ones myself. So.
Well, put that in your pile over there, Claudia. You're always talking about my pile.
Well, but remember, when we talk about blood sugar and everything that so many people are dealing with, for me, I always have to bring in the conversation about fungal overgrowth. And that's something that we're going to talk about in an episode, because lots of people are dealing with fungal issues, and it's what's feeding. There's a lot of underlying factors. There's fungal overgrowth, there's parasitic activity, there's all this stuff that's really feeding a lot of the imbalances. So these are wonderful products to consider. And we're going to, as time goes on, we're going to talk about a lot of great products.
What about my heebie-jeebies? We got anything for my... Okay, I don't even know what that means.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know.
You give me the heebie-jeebies. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'm a crazy old man. All right. So next week the one where we're going to answer questions? Is that the episode next week?
We have people that are asking, can we just ask general questions? So
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So that'll be next Tuesday. You've already put it up on your Facebook page. And so we've got a couple of really good ones there.
Yeah.
So we'll be adding to that, and you should add your questions. And then when we're live, Facebook Live next Tuesday, 12:30, please share the video. It's very important to get the words out, because our plan is to take over the world, right? We're taking over the world.
Or at least make it much more healthy.
No, we'll take over the world and make it healthy at the same time. I think that's a good goal. That's our goal. And you have to help us. So you have to share our podcast, the videos, of course, from Facebook. And then I cut it up and I put it in audio for you. And it's available where all your favorite podcasts are. I mean, we're everywhere now, which is awesome. And that'll go up Friday morning at 11, which was our old time that we used to be on.
Right.
So, Claudia, as always, I'm giving you the last word.
Well, thank you. It's, we're very grateful. I always say this, Denny and I are grateful to be doing what we're doing, and I love that we're doing it together. So thank you. And as always, good health makes life much more enjoyable. Nobody wants to feel crummy. Nobody wants to live in misery. We see it all around us. Everyone has loved ones that are dealing with sickness and all these things. It's very sad. And I'm always reminded, knowledge is power. And the more knowledge that the American people embrace with natural health and focusing on being well, getting out of the what do we do when we get sick mentality, but learning to be proactive and learning to do positive things, on a daily basis because it shows love to ourselves
Hmm.
and love to those that we love. So I can't think of anything greater than to, want healthy loved ones, and that spreads. It spreads as a community, and then it will be across the country, and that's really always my prayer and our goal. So anyway, everybody, just keep the faith. I always say that. I was thinking about it. Somebody said to me, you should give a little tip each week as to what we can start doing to try to, improve our health.
Share our podcast.
Well, and I said, well, okay, but meaning at the end. So here's a thought. I wasn't raised on pop. I'm not a fan of pop. We see a lot of people struggling. They're drinking lots of pop all day long instead of clean water, instead of doing other good things for themselves. So there's a general place to start. Start working on cutting back on your pop a little bit each day. It'll make a big difference. Your blood sugar will thank you. Your pancreas will thank you. Your brain will thank you. Everything in your body will thank you. So, little tidbit, just take it in baby steps. Do what you can. Share it with others. And especially if you have children, get pop out of their life. There's no reason for it. It's everywhere. It's harming them at a biochemical level. It's a very serious thing. The children of this country need our help. So, embrace embrace your health, embrace the knowledge. It's there. And just keep the faith and shine your light and share your love. And that's what changes the world. So peace to everybody on this beautiful day.